We're at the Louisiana Oil and Gas Museum located in Oil City. Beyond the road here we see a caboose from the Kansas City Southern Railroad and the old original depot, the yellow building there, for the village town of Oil City. They've put together quite a collection of oil field memorabilia here for people to come and look at. Right in front of us are two buildings that were moved from the oil community town of Tree City. Now the town was built strictly for the oil industry, and the builders of it decided that they would build a place that was clean. They didn't have any alcohol, no bars or anything else like that, but they built things for families. So we have in front of us the smaller building, which is the old post office building from Tree City, and to our left is the bank that was located at Tree City. Now both these buildings were moved in probably about 20 years ago from that community, and there are no original buildings left out at Tree City today. But you can walk through them and you can look at the old teller locations and the mailboxes in the post office, and it's quite like what it was when it was in full use at the old location. About, it's probably 10 miles from here. And the museum itself is to our right, and it's a new structure, and it is a state museum, as I said, and it's funded and supported by the state of Louisiana. And inside are some wonderful exhibits of the oil industry. It starts with way back before all of that with the Caddo, and there's some displays in there relative to the Caddo Indians, and then it shows you through time how the oil industry progressed from very crude drilling techniques to modern drilling techniques and some of the oil field equipment that was used during that time period. It's a great place to come visit. Okay, we're at Mooringsport, Louisiana. We're looking onto Caddo Lake at the moment. Back in 1837, a gentleman by the name of Timothy Mooring brought his family here, and they settled about 2 miles south of where we are. And he cleared some land, began his cotton plantation, and began creating a road to get it to Shreveport and that sort of thing. But in 1841, he noticed steamboats coming through here, and they were going over to Port Caddo to service the cotton industry over there, pick up cotton, take it to New Orleans, and that sort of thing. So it gave him the idea to build a storage location here for his cotton, some sheds. And he did that right out in front of where we are right now, near the water, perhaps to the right a bit. And that was really the beginning of what would become the town of Mooringsport. Now in 1852, Timothy's daughter married a guy by the name of Calvin Croom, who moved to here, built a store in the community behind us. We'll be looking at that in a moment. And that was really the origins of Mooringsport. So steamboats would come through here, up from Shreveport, up through Soda Bayou into Caddo Lake, and they would use this particular location, orient across the lake on some trees and an island over there, know that they were heading in the right direction and on their way to Jefferson, beginning in about 1845. And so over the next 40 or 50 years, steamboats came through here very regularly. And the crossing here was via a ferry that was run by Timothy Mooring, beginning probably in about 1842. Now just to our west, there was a ferry in operation from 1824 till about that time that was there to service the Caddo, Red River, really, Caddo Indian Agency. So that ferry was paid by the agency, and they moved Indians and agency personnel back and forth across the lake. So there was a ferry to get across to the northern part of the parish here from there, and then beginning in 1842, from here across the water. We have a number of pictures, still pictures taken, of people on a ferry crossing at this particular location. Then in about 1913 and 1914, the bridge we see to our right here, which is today on the National Register of Historic Places, is a vertical lift drawbridge. And it was put in so cars could then drive across the water, but the drawbridge would lift up to allow boats to cross underneath the bridge and continue on to where they needed to go. Right today, it's isolated from the highway. There's a new bridge that crosses just to its east, and the bridge is just there for people. You can see people now walking along the bridge. Sometimes they fish from up there and that sort of thing. This is a very beautiful location of the lake. Underneath the bridge to our left front, you can look across the lake and see how large it is from this particular point. For hundreds of years, and probably for many, many times over history, the Red River became clogged up with trees and various and sundry things that would wash out from the shores during the spring floods. And that was the case in the early 1800s when the territory of Arkansas and military locations in Oklahoma needed to be resupplied. They couldn't get there via the water route because the Red River was blocked by a log raft, a log jam they called it. So, and there was an eastern way to get through it, and you could work your way around, but it's very time consuming. So the federal government detailed Lieutenant Washington Irwin, who was doing frontier duty down in Sabine Parish, to come to the north up here and construct a canal and open up waterways such that a boat could leave the Red River approximately where Shreveport is today and transit through these bayous and get back into the Red River north of the present community of Austin. So from 1829 until 1831, Lieutenant Sewell and some other men worked on doing that particular job. Now when they got from Oil City, they came up through Black Bayou and they got to a location just to our south and west called Irwin's Bluff. There was no connectivity to Red Bayou, which is behind where we're viewing right now, so a canal had to be dug. So one of the major tasks that the lieutenant completed was digging a 3/4 mile long canal that connected Black Bayou to Red Bayou, thus opening up all the bayou for travel back into the Red River. So he spent a few days, and I don't know how long he did that, but you know, he was here for a year and a half doing the entire job. But I'm told that there was some sort of a slough that went through here at that particular time, so he didn't really have to dig the canal as we see it now. It's fairly deep, probably 30 feet or so from level land down to where the water is. He didn't have to dig that deeply. He had to open up the slough for 3/4 mile such that boats could get through. Now, a lot of times you think that, well, these little bayous were just not big enough for steamboats to go through, but if you look at this, you see it's actually fairly wide, so a fairly good sized steamboat could come through here. So beginning then in 1831, when this was opened up, until 1878, 1873, when the Red River was finally cleared, steamboats came through here. They were small steamboats, and they serviced the Arkansas Territory and the military post.